I'm getting a lot of questions about the upcoming National Qualifying Series, or NQS. We finally don't have to worry about COVID protocols, so this is the first time since 2019 that we're just discussing the competitive experience without all of that. Hi everyone, this is Amy. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to go over the preliminary information for NQS. I'm excited to help you along your national qualifying journey. Let's start with the basics. The U.S. figure skating qualifying structure is for athletes who want to compete in singles, pairs, and ice dance at the United States Figure Skating Championships. Athletes who are juvenile, bronze, intermediate, pre-silver, or novice, silver, will compete to earn a spot on the National High Performance Development Team. Athletes competing in singles, pairs, and ice dance at junior, pre-gold, and senior gold will enter the qualifying structure to earn a spot at the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. For those aiming to compete at the U.S. Synchronized Skating Championships and U.S. Adult Figure Skating Championships have their own qualifying structure that's completely separate from this NQS. The U.S. Collegiate Championships is a standalone event as well. Today, I'm only discussing the standard track NQS, not synchro, adult, or collegiate. More than 1,500 skaters nationwide will compete at qualifying events for a chance to advance to sectional singles, U.S. pairs, and U.S. ice dance finals in November. Athletes can then qualify to compete at the 2024 U.S. Figure Skating Championships and National Development Camp in Columbus, Ohio. That's slated for January 2024. The NQS Series application will open on July 5th, 2023 via EMS. This date was initially May 1st, but now the NQS Series application will not open until July 5th. Mark that date on your calendar. This is your key requirement for qualifying registration. It replaces the regional sectional registration process from previous seasons. All interested athletes must complete the series application before the start date of their first approved NQS competition. It's the start date of the competition, not the date that you compete at that competition. You must log in to members only to register for the NQS series in EMS. You will also need to register separately for each competition, like the Excel series. You need to register separately for the series and then for each competition. However, both of those live in EMS. You enter an NQS approved competition to earn a score, which translates to a series standing. Ultimately, this provides you with an overall ranking at your level, as well as a regional and sectional ranking. I want to be clear that registering for the series is separate from registering for an NQS competition. I know it can be confusing. You should register for the series as early as possible once it opens. Per the rulebook, once you register for the qualifying season, your club is locked in because it ties you back to the region in the section where your advancement will live. That's just something that you want to be aware of. While this is an ongoing series and the standings are online, there was that component of awarding what those teams and athletes had earned. Those regional and sectional standalone events may not be on our calendar anymore, but those accolades still exist. Gold, silver, bronze, and pewter awarded to those deserving teams and athletes on site at those competitions. Just as important this season is a change when it comes to decoupling tests from competition levels and the competitive floor. Decoupling was first rolled out on December 1st, 2022. Essentially, what we've always had within our sport with skating skills or moves in the field tests. That allows athletes to accelerate their free skate test levels, but compete at the level most appropriate for their technical skill set. What does this actually look like? That's where the competitive floor comes in. Your competitive floor is your lowest level you can compete at, dictated by a paid EMS series application for the National Qualifying Series or the National Excel Series. Here comes the modification. If you competed in both NQS and Excel at different levels, which is a small group of athletes, your NQS level may be one level lower than your Excel level. For example, if you skate at junior, pre-gold in Excel, you might skate down to novice, silver in NQS. It's really -1 when we're talking about NQS. That was not included in the initial rollout when this change change was made December 1st. Within the NQS handbook, athlete profiles have been created and provided to single skaters. Technically, they've taken the data from last season and created these profiles that will allow you, in conjunction with and under the guidance of your coach, to not only select the appropriate level for where you should be through the season, but also assess annual goals based on that technical data. That's something really exciting for you to look for. A proposal for the 2023 Governing Council to move the age requirement from September 1st to July 1st, aligning the ISU and keeping things as consistent as possible. I'm also planning to do a video that covers whatever rule changes come out of Governing Council. So be sure to subscribe and ring that bell so that you don't miss that video when I post it. That approved NQS list of 20 competitions. It's less than we've seen in previous seasons. So you're restricted based on where you need to compete. US figure skating is stressing quality over quantity. That brings us to the singles registration limit. This is only for single skaters. Pairs and ice dance teams may register for as many competitions as they want because of limited opportunities for those team events. For singles athletes, though, there's a maximum registration of 3 approved NQS competitions. NQS competition registration will occur over 3 phases from May 15th to July 7th. The first phase is from May 15th to June 1st. This is where you're permitted to compete at your first competition, but no more for singles. Phase 2 is June 5th through the 20th, where you can compete in up to 2 competitions for singles. During Phase 3, single skaters may register for no more than 3 competitions. Suppose at any time a singles athlete registers for more than what's permitted during the registration phase. If that happens, subsequent registrations based on the EMS timestamp are subject to withdrawal. US figure skating needed to create the fairest and most equitable competition space. Much like the NCAA restricts collegiate programs, US figure skating has adopted a structure of 3 competition maximum for singles. They're standing firm that athletes can only register for 3 competitions. Once you are registered, if you must withdraw, you will not get an additional competition. While US figure skating says they wish that they could accommodate every scenario, they just don't have the space to do that and also have a successful series. A reminder to athletes that may be chosen for international competition assignments. If you decide on NQS competitions during the last 3 weeks in September as your 3 choices, and then you're offered an international assignment, you're not going to have a score to post to go to nationals. There's no guarantee of a bye according to US figure skating's rules. Protect yourself by posting a score in July and August before the international season begins. It would be a shame if you had all your events at the end and then got chosen for an international, but had to stay home to compete in NQS. That just wouldn't even make sense. So I encourage all athletes to get 1 NQS competition in early. Work with your coach to create a strategy for 3 events you want to compete in. If we've learned anything from the championship series, we know that the later competitions are the most popular. That may not be the case for you. Your priority competition could be local. It could be your own club. Take that into account when you're planning what those scenarios could look like for you. Make sure there's some flexibility because each competition has a maximum bandwidth with a finite number of athletes they can accept registrations for. Ultimately, each competition reserves the right to close registration at any given time during a registration phase based on their capacity. The idea here is managing the number of participants in the competition allows that competition to provide the best competitive experience. The limit on numbers will not be published due to variables with each location. Ultimately, it's the decision of the local organizing committee to close registration at any point. So don't count on those competitions being open for those full timelines. Register early and consider multiple scenarios. Competition registration is slightly different this year in that it's separate from the non-qualifying competition it's held in conjunction with. This is meant to support US figure skating's new singles registration limit. Let me give you a scenario. Glacier Falls is held in Anaheim, California at the end of July. It's an approved NQS series competition for this upcoming season. You can see registration within EMS for NQS Glacier Falls, but You also see Glacier Falls Summer Classic. The Glacier Falls Summer Classic is the home of the non-qualifying events. Events like Compete USA, Excel, Showcase, Adults. Where you see NQS Glacier Falls, that's the NQS portion of that competition. That is the exclusive home of the well-balanced events, bronze, juvenile through gold, senior, in the disciplines that they've been approved for. In short, you're registering for the correct part of the competition. Let's jump over to NQS Advancement for a second. Sectionals are all spread out. Easterns are in Coral Springs, Florida from October 31st to November 5th. That's a standalone Eastern Sectional single final. The Pacific Coach Sectional single final with pairs, November 7th through the 12th in Tacoma, Washington. Then closing out our finals is Midwestern Sectional Final from November 14th to the 19th in Bloomington, Minnesota. The numbers will stay the same from NQS to these finals, with juvenile bronze through novice silver, singles, pairs, and ice dance, having spots for 24 entries. For junior, pre-gold, and senior gold, singles, pairs, and ice dance, there is space for 18 athletes and teams. Then the U.S. Championship and National Development Camp. Advancement information. According to the rulebook, they need the advancement criteria no later than June 1st. Keep an eye out around June 1st for that information. I'm also planning to do a video that covers whatever rule changes come out of Governing Council. So be sure to subscribe and ring that bell so that you don't miss that video when I post it. Remember, you still have to renew your U.S. Figure Skating membership with your club between June 1st and no later than July 1st. Then you'll be able to register for the NQS series in EMS beginning July 5th. If this video helped you out, please give it a like and share it with somebody else you think it could help. Just post it to your social media too. This is Amy. Thank you for watching. Happy competing. I will see you real soon. Bye.